Okay, now we're going to look at the strategies for the top game of Brandubh, and um, basically this is a game where you can really only play to the corners, and so I haven't done any videos yet. This is my first one on a top game where we're doing corner rules. I'm going to make a series later on Tafl, which will be very detailed. This is just going to be just kind of a general overview of playing to the corner. This game's not doesn't have near as many pieces, and so it's not probably as complex as playing corner tops. But I actually enjoy this game more than playing corner tops. So let's just kind of get started with basic playing to the corners. The first thing that I like to bring to your attention, whenever you play to the corner, you're kind of really not playing to the corner. I know that sounds weird, and you're not really playing to the edge, and that sounds weird too, but you're kind of playing to specific. There's 8 squares that you're really trying to get to, the best places to get to, and that's the 2 squares that are next to the corner in each corner. So these two, these two, these two, and these two. Because when the king lands there, he's won the game. The game's over. He'll always win on the next move because the part of the rules is that you can't land here as an opposing piece. So he'll always move there on his next move. And the other thing, I'll get into it in more detail when I discuss Nefertop's corner play, but when you get here and you're trying to get to the corner, the thing that many people think, the mistake they make, is they go too far. When you get down here, it's really hard, especially in corner Nefertop where you have pieces kind of already on the bottom here, but it's really hard to, not so much I guess in this game, but to get there from this row. You're going to get there because he's kind of blocked. It's easy to get pinned and tied up here. It's very easy to get cornered up against here. Your better bet is to get on this second row here and get to these from an angle. So you're getting it from an angle. This one, you don't get to this square from here. You get to this square from here. You always get to it at an angle, at the right angle. Again, this square has to be gotten to from here, not from here. This square has to be gotten to from here, not from over here. Okay, so enough about that. It's also when you play to the corner, it's best to attack you want to attack the corners with an open game. You don't ever want to play a closed game when you're playing to the corner. That does you no good because you're going to get sealed in. You're going to get trapped near the throne. You always, there's no such thing as playing a closed game when you're playing to the corner. It has to be open. So you have to attack those corners ASAP. And it's better to attack the corner with a king than not, because remember, the king can capture against, let's say the difference between capturing against this corner here with a normal piece and capturing against this corner with a regular piece is, look, I mean, now the king, when you move the king there, he's already halfway there when it's just another piece. So basically what I'm trying to say is, when you have a choice between, it's okay to attack the corner with the king. In edge tops you can't do that if the king doesn't, because he doesn't see, even though the king's attacking a corner, he's not really by himself because this acts as another piece, so he's really not by himself. Edge tops you can't attack the edge with the king by himself. He has to have other people. So you want to attack the corners with the king over other pieces if you can, if you have a choice. The next thing is you want to try and force pawns into I call these the magic squares, So if you remember from Tablet, when you play to the edge, the idea is to make forced moves, is to force him to isolate a pawn on the edge of the board. But in this game, it's stupid to isolate a pawn on the edge. That's not going to do you any good. There's no reason to do it. But you do want to isolate. You want to isolate them on here. So you want to isolate the pawns, but they got to be on this magic square, because they're so easily captured with one piece. Okay. The next thing you want to do too is you want to try and so what you do is you try and get him to where he has to play a piece there to block you. So you have to attack this corner. I mean, attack these squares. So he's kind of forced to play a piece there. All right. The next thing you want to do is you need to you can create chains in order to close off parts of the board. It's not, see, like now these pieces are kind of out of the action, but you know, it's just not as effective as the others. It's just an optional thing you can do. As in other games, it's not as effective, like in playing to the edge tablet. But the other thing, the next rule too, is that you want to get the king off the throne early, and in kind of a safe spot early. So you have sort of you know, three options on where you can kind of place the king during the game, and this last one here is kind of really hard, because these two are the hardest. It's easy to get him here, and it's actually okay to be there, because you're going to find out that when the king's on this row, there's almost not a bad spot you can put the king. When he's on this row, he can easily attack, get here and attack pieces there. When he's on this row, he can easily get to that. He can easily get to that square. So that's a good row to be on. That's always the best row, I think, when you're playing to the corner. This is kind of the worst row, because he's easily trapped there. And you're going to find out that when you start playing the game that these two rows are really dangerous. If you play the attackers the way I suggested in the previous video, you're going to find out that it's really hard for the king to get down here because remember, it only takes 2 to capture him. He's captured like any other piece, but the game's over if he's captured. So you're going to see a lot of opportunities to capture with 2 pieces down here when you start playing. So those are the kind of the differences about where the king goes. On this game, you can't really create 2 fronts of attack like in Tablet. So if you saw the Tablet series and you saw, there's a couple videos that I had where I showed kind of 2 fronts of attack. You can't really do that so much with this game. It's a lot harder, especially in any corner game. It'd probably be easier in this game than Nefa Tablet, but the other thing is you can try and make sacrifices to kind of gain tempo. It's okay, like that would be a sacrifice, and he can come down here, and now he's got the game won, and he can't be attacked. He can't lose the game by anybody playing here because this falls open. So he'd have to do that, but you see he created an open file here, he to create some space. So and he was still kind of in pretty good shape there. You don't have to keep pieces near the king like in the other video series where I talked about the strategies. Keeping the pieces close to the king close to the pieces. Once again, I said the king can attack a corner by himself if he wants, and do it very well. So that rule really kind of doesn't apply. It's always worth mentioning that, so you don't try and carry over certain rules that you don't need to from other series that I've made. It is sort of okay to also move the same piece around, kind of like in Ardri, the series I did on that, where sometimes it's preferable. I don't usually do that when I play the defenders, but you know, it is okay. I have seen it done where it actually did some good. The last thing is that you want to try and look for moves that will force the attackers to open one of these bottom two rows. You know, like if he leaves off of here and you've got, you know, pieces over here, you know, move to an open row. Anytime that these, you know, just about any time that one of these two rows is open, you, you want to land on it because you've won the game. So you want to force him to force the attackers to open one of those rows. And that's basically the gist of it. I am going to make a series on Nephitops playing to the corner at some point where it'll probably take several videos just on each side to show it. But that's a pretty good overview on how to play this game. This is a very fun game. It's a very exciting game. It's sort of like Chinese chess, where the game just already starts off with a major battle going on, and it doesn't stop until the very end. So it's really fun, and I hope you enjoy it.